Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Ram. You might notice things are a little quiet right now. And, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to edit this video just yet, but this is a Viper. I'm calling it the Viper Mark T from Battlestar Galactica. T for tangent, because that's my name, and also because, it follows roughly based on a Mark II/Mark III, but it's not really fitting any of them particularly. You might notice in the top right we do have oxidizer on board, quite a bit of it. I've been flying this one in the atmosphere right now, so it's been, there we go. Oh. Oh, I did not fly that correctly for the landing. However, what I was trying to say is that I've been just flying this one through the atmosphere, not going to space with it, so it wasn't demonstrating its capability there fully, but I was just flying it through the atmosphere to a landing, just kind of showing how that works a little bit. But as you can see, the engines aren't quite all pointing the same direction. You can see the top one is pointing down. Right now, I guess I will demonstrate how to go to orbit with it, so I didn't pull up until about until about 100 meters per second. Then I track landing gear. I'm going to go ahead and leave this open so I can take a look at it, and I'm going to leave this open so you can see the oxidizer and liquid fuel. And I'm just going to try to fly this to orbit from memory because I don't remember how I actually did it. I'm going to go down here and look at my orbital, my predicted orbit. Notice that I'm flying at about a 40-degree angle from the horizon, and I'm just letting this thing accelerate as fast as it possibly can at this angle. And of course the angle will slowly increase as we go around the planet. We're going to get going quite fast. You can see our thrust is actually still increasing at this point. I'm going to go ahead and hit this button so you can see our thrust to weight ratio is reaching 6 and reaching 6.2. And so of course the rapiers are very powerful, and we've just started losing our thrust to weight ratio. Our thrust is now going down. You can see that our liquid fuel says that it's lower than the oxidizer, but this is a misleading number. And, oh, I needed to pitch down, and I didn't. I should have pitched down sooner than that, so we might not make orbit because I accidentally had us doing that. And our apoapsis is actually higher than I want it to be, so I'm actually going to shut down the engines manually instead of taking them all the way out, and I've also switched them to the jet mode, or the, excuse me, closed cycle, aka using oxidizer and liquid fuel mode. And that also closes all the intakes, which reduces their drag. So that helps us get a little bit further into space. And I'm not sure if things will go according to plan this time, because like I said, I've messed up a bit. Our estimated burn time is about 30 seconds, so I'll wait to about 30 seconds before apoapsis before engaging full throttle. And once I do that, I'm going to watch our periapsis, and we should get into space, but we might not quite make it. Getting very close. All right, and full throttle. Because, like I said, I didn't quite do things right, and you can see now that the oxidizer versus liquid fuel, we actually have more liquid fuel than oxidizer, and that's quite useful actually, because it means that we can use this thing to fly in the atmosphere after going into orbit. I'm actually going to cut the engine again and let us get closer to our apoapsis again, because I actually, of course, because I engaged it before we reached apoapsis, but by quite a margin, we actually pushed our apoapsis out ahead of us. And this video is the first one I'm recording on Ubuntu, and I've just set up my settings, and I'm not sure how well everything is set up just yet, so things might not go 100% according to plan, but we shall see. Anyhow, as you can see, getting very close to apoapsis. In fact, we are now passing it, and our periapsis is not quite out of the and we've run out of oxidizer. So as you can see, in this particular case, we did not correctly handle things. I guess this means I get to show you a re-entry, because we're in a profile pretty close to what you would want for re-entry. I'm going to go ahead and activate the braking action group, which, as you can see, opens up a split rudder. So we have that as our air brake. I'm going to go ahead and let this coast down quite a bit. Let's let it reorient. And there we go. So now this should hold us pretty close to prograde. going down. Things are going to heat up quite a bit, but we should be fine. Now you'll notice, because the air brakes are fully deployed, that we're actually not following our prograde vector anymore. You'll see that the craft is trying to pitch down in order to follow prograde. However, the air brakes create sufficient drag and aerodynamic forces that we're pulling up slightly, and so we're generating some lift. And this is entirely intentional. This keeps us in the higher atmosphere a little bit longer and allows heating to happen more slowly. So you can see we are overheating this fuel tank a little bit, but not going to overheat it to the point of it breaking. And you can see the pitch is continuing to increase, or rather decrease, trying to pitch down more and more, but we're pretty stably okay. Unfortunately, I have no idea what part of Kerbin I'm over. Probably ocean, but really hard to tell. And oh yes, there is some stability at, some instability at these higher... There we go. Oh, did she pass out? No, we're good. Some instability at these higher altitudes and higher speeds. So you can see we've regained stability now that we're going quite a bit slower. And of course I can hit 5 to reopen the intakes and re-engage our engines for atmospheric flight. Okay, looks like we are above land, because our above sea level and above land are different right now. And we don't really have lights. So, I mean, there are the landing gear lights. I guess I can go ahead and open those. But those aren't going to help much right now. So we're still quite a ways up. I'll go ahead and switch us to our ground level view, though. And I'm going to bring us into a steeper dive. And in time warp, you can see it starts developing an oscillation in the yaw axis there, so I cut out of that. Okay, still don't see the land. Coming pretty close to it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Our ability to see it is not very good. I'm gonna go ahead and engage brakes. Oops. Overcorrected a little there. But we're okay. Now, this thing does get harder to control as you apply more brakes, so I'm gonna cut the throttle, cut the brakes, try to lose as much speed as possible before we actually touch down. Very hard to control, and as you can see, we are down on the ground. Now the hard part is stopping without it spinning out, which is why I'm controlling the brakes manually instead of letting it do things automatically, because that's how I crashed the last one. But in any case, you can see we are down safely. That was difficult.